I've often wondered what part religion plays in the decision-making of members of Parliament. Sometimes I feel there should be a board with letters writ large saying morality-free zone outside the entrance to Parliament. I'm now going along to meet Peter Bottomley to discuss this with him. Peter, as a Sikh, I'm taught that religion is central to life. Sikhs don't have a holy day. We consider every day and every minute of every day holy. And we're taught that the moral teachings of religion should infuse into our very being and determine our action and reaction to life's everyday events. Now, I don't see that in the way Parliament functions. Many people, many politicians actually say we should keep religion out of politics. How do you feel about that?
Mixed. If I can use one example, there are people in the Punjab who say you should have a state that's defined by religion. There are others who say they should be separate. If I look in the Middle East, if I look at the Israelis, there are many who regard themselves as being a religion and a race and a territory. And there are others who say we should be a secular state or we should be able to be away from our state. You know, religion is in ourselves.
It is the sort of broad decision-making that worries me, that in Parliament, and I'm not speaking about one party, I'm speaking of all parties, there seems to be general consensus that the arms trade is good because it earns us money. No one seems to question that. To me, it seems totally immoral. I liken it to the slave trade of yesterday and yesteryear.
You can do that. It's interesting that, in fact, there's a growing movement against landmines, for example, which have little military purpose but do immense damage to civilian populations, both at times of conflict and at other times. And trying to work on that nationally and internationally is one of the growing movements. I think it's also worth remembering that one of the reasons why this country, as part of Western Europe, has managed to go through almost its first generation without a major conflict in Western Europe, and certainly has not been the cause of a world war, has been because of strong defence. I don't want to get involved in the debates again about the sword and the bomb.
I agree that there has been relative peace in Europe, but that has resulted in the production and sale of arms to third world countries that can't afford it to kill each other. I mean, I remember as a student many years ago, there was a debate in the House of Commons about selling arms to Israel, and someone said, but we're also selling them to the Arabs. But they are machines of death. Any weapons are made to kill people.
Nearly all arms now give a massive advantage to the defending side rather than to the aggressive side. I don't remember this country selling tactical missiles which allow people to, in fact, wipe out other people's cities. I do remember selling ones that are against rockets, the kind of weapons which allow minesweepers, for example, to go and clear parts of the Persian Gulf and other areas.
But arms were being sold to Saddam Hussein when he was gassing Kurds. 3,000 Kurds were killed. Arms are being sold now to Indonesia, where there is tremendous repression against East Timor.
I accept that, and it's a matter of great concern. Yeah. But if people said to me, if we have the weapons which can protect other people against the attack missiles from, for example, the Argentines when they invaded the Falklands, from Saddam Hussein when he was attacking Kuwait, then I would say I think we actually probably are doing a service and it is justifiable.
There are other areas of concern as well. There is the social area where there is such a concentration on the production of wealth that the more even distribution is not equally considered.
Can I share one or two thoughts? Because this is and the whole issue of poverty and disadvantage is why I came into politics. People now are at their poorest when they have their first child, where normally they go from 2 incomes, 2 mouths to feed, to 1 income, 3 mouths to feed. I think that the way to attack that kind of poverty is certainly by income support when people are in those circumstances, but also to be very direct and very frank about what is associated with that. If I have a child, age 17, and if I get married while I'm pregnant, I'm far more likely to be out of work, both when I'm responsible for children and later on. I'm far more likely to be involved in separation and divorce, and 2/3 of the people in this country can't afford to get separated or divorced.
Yes.
I'm far more likely to help create second families, Now, without making any condemnation of anybody in any of those circumstances, if we could halve the number of people who get into that circumstance every year, we'd be doing well. If we can halve the number of people who, because of failure of their education or failure of the education system to engage their interest, so they come out of school after 15,000 hours of education with no real adaptation to the world they have to live in as social citizens, as people available to the world of work, people able to make a contribution, then I think we want to go changing the system so that other people can benefit by the things I've benefited from and others can avoid the things I've experienced.
I'm a magistrate in a juvenile court, and I see that the young people who come there are almost always from broken homes. I'm not saying one parent is bad.
It's an association.
But the more you can, more time you can give to children, the greater the sense of values you can impart to children.
It's difficult enough bringing up children with two parents.
Yes,
it's difficult enough bringing up a child in a village. And Bill Morris, the General Secretary of my union, says, in the answer to the question, how many adults did it take to bring up a child? He says, a village. It's true.
Yeah.
People who will accept you. I think that if we could speak those truths in Parliament and out of Parliament, if we can learn the lessons of what's going on around us, you wouldn't always need a change in the law or a change of spending or a change of exhortation. But with that change of understanding and a change of action, you can achieve the same kinds of things as happened in this country 100 years ago, when preachers like Spurgeon said in inner city areas, use our talent to create better lives for ourselves and those around us. It's wrong to put it completely in this way, but you could say self-interest without selfishness. If the religion, the activity is at home and in the local community, and you can then see a national and international aspect to it as well, perhaps we'll make fewer mistakes and get more things right.
Well, and with that philosophy, I'd entirely agree. Well, after talking to Peter Bottomley, I do feel that calling Parliament a morality-free zone is perhaps a little over the top. But then I wonder how many more there are like him in